Hi everyone, I'm Coley with The Divine Curiosity. I wanted to do a quick little video for a lot of people, basically on the stages of waking up. I really feel like this is a extremely important video, especially since with the quarantine and everything going on, something pretty spectacular has been going on with all the negative stuff, of course, which is a lot of people are waking up. I made a previous small video about how 2020 is the year. It's going to be a really interesting year because of the amount of people that are waking up. Well, this kind of goes along with it. During this quarantine, a lot of people, and I do mean in a very large number of people, are waking up. For those of you who have been going through the wake up process, you know that it's not easy. It's kind of a scary process, and it can be a real struggle. You'd really think that waking up would be kind of like floating on clouds, and in a lot of ways it really honestly is. And I definitely don't want to deter anyone from waking up talking about some of the difficulties that you're going to face. What this video is supposed to do is kind of help you, encourage you, and kind of help map out where you're at. You can find some videos out there that kind of go through the processes, but I want to just make sure that, because everybody goes through everything very differently, and that's the main thing. So anything that I go over, if you're like, well, I've done this stage before I did this stage, it's absolutely okay. You'll find that this isn't written in stone, as is with a lot of things, and you'll see that you can go in them in totally different order. You can go through multiple steps at the exact same time, and I kind of want to go over that as well, because that's something that actually personally happened to me and has been really, really confusing. So, waking up, what happens? Basically, waking up is you start to question. You start to wonder, what else? Or, are you sure? Simple things like that. My process that I've spoke about before, it happened because of a tragedy. I had a feeling that something was going to happen. Again, I thought it was going to happen to me, and it was somebody else who died, and that's when my journey really started. All through my life, I've always had weird things that have happened to me. Um, Obviously, seeing ghosts, talking to spirits when I was a child, being able to predict things that have happened. And now it's kind of coming full circle, and I'm paying attention to that stuff. So I do want to talk to you guys about the different stages. And basically, the first stage is waking. It's when you start to ask your questions. It's when you start to realize how things really are, and you start putting small pieces of the puzzle together. One thing that I was like talking about Buddha, and I was talking about Jesus Christ, and I was talking about all these prophets or deities, and I was like, I really feel like they're all the same person, and that's what got me asking questions. That's what got me asking questions about God, about the different terminologies. Okay, people talk about angels, they talk about spirit guides, guardian angels, ghosts, ancestors, and that really got me going. But it all seems like the exact same thing to me, and for me, it is. And that's kind of where it starts, and you'll start finding out, this kind of process usually lasts a couple of days. It can last weeks, but luckily the waking process is pretty quick, and that's a really good thing, because what next you're going to get, and this gets me to the second stage, or really I call it the true first stage, is what I call the honeymoon stage, or I hear a lot of people call it the bliss stage. Now, I do want to tell you that that stage is probably the most incredible stage you're ever going to go through. Um, Never, for me personally, never in my life have I ever felt so alive. I felt so connected with everything. Like, you can feel and hear everything. It's almost like you can hear the trees whisper. You can feel, the moment that the rock accepted the rays of the sunshine and decided to warm. And I know that sounds kind of corny, but it's really true. Um, you can almost feel these beautiful feelings of euphoria, like legitimately, you almost feel high, for lack of a better term. You feel really, sorry, my dogs want to come in and join the video too. You feel like you can do just about anything. You feel love. You feel such deep love, and literally anybody or anything that you come into contact with, you just feel that energy, and you feel that life force, and it's almost overwhelming, but you can handle all of it. It's like if something bad happens, you've got this. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. And that was my favorite part of it, is being able to handle copious amounts of stress during that time. Um, your dreams, the dreams are incredible. And during those times, during your time of the honeymoon bliss phase, I highly recommend you to do what I said, like I said in previous videos. Get your book, get your journal, and write. That is going to be the best time for you to write, because those are going to be some wonderful, wonderful memories that you're going to be able to read back on and remember. Um, what's really upsetting about the honeymoon stage is um, it doesn't last as long as you'd like it to. Mine only lasted a couple of days. I have heard a couple stories of it lasting weeks for some people, uh, but usually it typically only lasts days to weeks. Um, and then the dark night happens. And I don't want to say it's so gloomy, because I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed my dark night once I realized what was going on. Once I realized that it was my moment to purge. Um, People call it shadow work. It can be, you can call it any number of things. But this is the time in, it's a healing period. It's a healing period, and you're literally purging yourself of everything. Any karmas, this is the perfect time to purge any karmas that you've created either in this life or in any past lives. Even any ancestral, you can get that purge. It's definitely a very rough healing time. Um, so much is brought up during this time, and it's released. You feel lost. There was even a point in time that I literally felt like I was dying. Like literally, truly felt like I was dying, and it was kind of scary, because I'm sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, is this a really spiritual journey? Am I really waking up? Or was I having like a high, and now I'm so severely depressed that I don't want to get out of bed?" Because that's what you're going to feel like. You're going to feel so depressed, but you're not sure what you're depressed about. You're just lethargic almost, and tired. And it wasn't until um, I realized that I was in my dark night that I was able to um, be in my dark night. You're in this dark night, and you're like with the blanket over your head, and you're you're scared and you're tired and you're depressed and you're lost and you feel like there's no hope. And then you realize what's going on and you're like, oh, okay. And it was the perfect time for me to jump in and start doing my shadow work. It was a perfect time for me to start releasing all those icky negative things, back from even when I was a kid and I made fun of somebody at school and I still carried that weight around. That was my time to release it. That was my time to really meditate on it. Really take into consideration the wrongs that I've done to myself, the wrongs that I've done to others, and really just kind of deal with it and let it go. And it was really nice. And it's so beneficial to really understand what's going on with you. Like I said, it's a perfect time to do shadow work if you're somebody who's interested in doing shadow work. I don't personally do shadow work necessarily the way that it's taught to do shadow work, because my own personal belief is that I do shadow work daily. If a certain feeling comes up, I pay attention to that feeling and I'm like, okay, well, why is this coming up? Oh, it's because of this. Or usually something's coming up that I need to handle again, in a different way. And luckily my dark night showed me so much of that. The very next thing I guess probably tell you how long it's going to last. Most of the time, this one lasts a couple months. There's no way of sugarcoating it. There have been some people that have only gone through a couple of weeks of it. But what I've kind of noticed is if you've woken up because of a tragedy, you typically are going through your dark horse for a little bit longer, just because there's so much depth to a tragedy. Again, that's not concrete. Anything that I ever say is not concrete. For me, it did last a couple months. I haven't really heard of it lasting years, but if this is your last life here and you've got a lot to work on, I could definitely see why it would last years. The very next thing that we have, the very next stage is the void or the emptiness. Now, what's really great about the void is the nothingness. And I know that doesn't sound great, but when you're there and feeling it, it really is. The best way that I've heard somebody else say it, I definitely don't want to take credit, but I cannot for the life of me remember what video I listened to this on. So I do apologize. If I figure it out, I will definitely credit in the description. But it's basically during your dark horse, you've purged everything, and the void is your resting time. Rest, just rest, and you'll start to you'll tend to feel as if you can't feel spirit, which is highly ironic because this is the time when spirit is around you most, but you can't feel it, and don't force it. Definitely don't force it. Don't say when you're going through it and you don't know that you're going through the void. You're sitting there going, "Why aren't my guides talking to me? Why haven't I seen? I haven't seen anybody. I haven't heard anybody, felt anybody. I do get gut intuitions, but they're not as strong as they'd normally be, and that's because this is your soul and energy's time to rest. You've done so much work during your dark horse, and it is your soul's time to just rest. And don't force it. Allow it to happen. It's extremely important because this is the time where these connections are reset. When you have a phone that has been acting up, I have to reset my iPhone all the time because I'm constantly on stuff. But like when you have to do the hard reset to your iPhone or an Android, it doesn't matter, any electronic really, and it takes a while. It has to do these different screens, it has to go through these different things because it's purging all of that. It's it's your reset button, and it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be calm, to rest, and to soothe yourself, and really start going over the last couple of months of what's been going on. Now, one thing about the void is anxiety is really, really common, and you have to try and work through your anxiety. Um, Bath rituals is one of the things that I still do because I'm still going through pieces of the void. Um, so I like to take baths, you know, washing myself, getting the negativity and the ucky off, and willing it down the drain. It's definitely a time that I highly recommend. All types of crystals, you know, you got your lapis, you know, clear quartz is, here's a bigger, better piece. Clear quartz is a big one. One of the things that I'll do, especially during this time, is when I'm feeling super anxious, I'll get a glass of water. Usually it is moon water just because it makes me feel even better. But I'll hold that crystal and I will push all of that energy into it, all the negativity, all the ugliness. And while I'm pushing it there, I'll hold it over that glass of water. And once I finally feel like all of it's in there, I drop the crystal into the water. So, and that's really great to do again with just quartz. Um, it's definitely a time to start really learning about your oils, like I said, your crystals, uh, mirrors. It's what's great about it is it really is the time for you to study, and that's what I've used. I've used the time to really study, figure out what it is. You know, do I want to use the word spells or do I want to use the word prayers? And I mean, for me, I've decided that it really doesn't matter. I'll use whatever terminology that makes that person feel comfortable. Um, and it's definitely the time where um, just don't fight the peace. You know, it's just, it really is, once you realize what's going on, it really is a wonderful, peaceful time. I highly recommend getting out into nature. That is something that I did. Luckily, my void was happening during springtime. So, like, I'd go out and look for mushrooms, morel mushrooms. It's when I started learning to get out and put on some rain boots and go digging through the creek and stuff like that to find bottles. You know, find something that you're interested in that has to do with being outside and connecting, and kind of run with it. It's the perfect time. You know, every time I go outside, they were laughing at me because I'd go hug a tree. You know, when you're feeling down and anxious or sad, that's one of my favorite things to do. I literally go hug a tree because that tree is taking it out of me and putting it into the ground because they have stronger roots than I do, and that's why they're there. That's why Mother Nature put trees there, was for us to go and give it a big old hug and help get rid of our negativity. Um, so that's what I do. Now, the bad part about the void is it can take a long time. You know, this one we're talking about months to years. I haven't heard of too many instances where it's a ton of years. For me, currently, I'm still going through like the last pieces of the void. I'm now onto another section of another stage, but I still have pieces of the void, you know, and I think you always will, because your body is always going to go, whoa, you need to rest and just be at peace. It's your downtime. It's the time that you're going to start learning new things about yourself. What's really funny is during the void, my entire like image changed. My entire image. I went from dressing like professional and stuff like that to more earthy professional, I guess you could call it. That's what I'm going to call it because that's the way I'm, earthy professional, and I like it. Anyways, you're gonna. Those are the cool things that happen during the void. You start to find things Like if you're one of those people that you're like, man, I don't know what my favorite kind of food is. I was that person. I don't know what my favorite color is. I was that person. You know, I've come to find out purple's my favorite color. I really like the color purple. No wonder I'm so drawn to amethyst. You know, like if you look around, I've got amethyst. I've got, this is a colored clear quartz, but it's purple. And I've found out that purple is my power color. You know, yes, I still love every single color of the rainbow, but purple's kind of it for me. Purple's kind of it for me. So those are some really fun, cool things that I got to find out about myself. During that time, I found out that, you know, a lot of witches or pagans or whatever you want to call yourself, fairies, flower maiden, Christian, spiritualist, it doesn't, call yourself whatever you'd like. I'm a person, because I call myself a cafeteria or an umbrella, Christian or spiritualist. It doesn't matter. But what's really cool is you'll find, like, because I connect, like, I love the Catholic Church. I think they've got some really pretty rituals. Like, the rituals are so pretty. Like, the frankincense and myrrh smells so good. I love Buddha. I love Buddha statues. I love every style of Buddha. I think he's great. I think he was a great guy. Like, legitimately, a great guy. So those are some things that you're going to find out about yourself. And they're great. I found out that I don't have to kill every plant that comes into my life. That I can keep it alive. I might just have a green thumb. Okay, it's not as green as my wife's thumb, but it's getting there. And that's pretty cool. So let's get into the fifth stage, or one of the final stages, and it's your groundingness. Your groundingness is really cool. Like, if you loved your honeymoon stage, I'm even gonna kind of get teary because it means a lot. Your groundingness is where you're starting to set your roots. You're setting your roots, your faith starts to grow stronger. You feel almost like a maturity has set in. You tend to involve spirit in everyday life. You know, even when I jump in the car, I tend to say, a little prayer that doesn't help me, like, lock the cats in a room or something, because I can't do that when I'm doing videos. If I do, all you'll hear is scratches. So I have to let them in so that they can run around the bedroom and make noise. I'm just hoping that I don't see them on top of the bird cage. Okay, let's getting back into this. Maturity. Yeah, that sets in. Like I said, you start to tend to involve spirit in everything. Now, literally everything that I do, brushing my teeth, waking up, going to sleep, I involve spirit, making a decision, you know, I'm realizing that everything is done on purpose. Nothing is a coincidence. Because I was one of those people that, well, maybe it's just a coincidence. You know, some things do mean things. No, I've realized that everything, literally everything, happens for a reason. And this is the time where you really start to sort yourself out. You finally want to be around people. That was something I didn't explain in the Dark Horse and Void, is you really kind of seclude yourself. Excuse me. Now you really are, like, proud, and you're coming into your power, and you're starting to feel powerful. And you're really coming into who you are, you know, like, I'm really going to dye my hair purple. Seems drastic, right? But I'm gonna do it. Yep, I'm definitely gonna do it. This is something that's gonna happen. This is something that's gonna happen. And this is what I've decided. See? And you just feel so good. Like, I've finally set up my spirit corner, or like my area. You know, there's so many people in this house. I finally have my area. I have my mirror, I have my Buddha, I have my plants, I have my little trinket bucket, I have my crystals everywhere, I have my Palo Santo, I have my desk full of oils, I have my rosaries, I have my widow feather. I finally have it. And that has been something that I've wanted since day one, and I have it. Because it gives you the who you are to get it done. And the wonderful, wonderful thing about this stage is it can last for a very, very long time. And I do mean months to years. And I'm totally digging the grounding stage. I've just gotten into it, and I'm already feeling tons better. You'll notice that there's been some time between my videos. Well, that's not going to happen anymore, because the time between my videos has been because I've been going through the Dark Horse and Void, and it's been rough. But I'm not there anymore, and that's the wonderful thing about it. I mean, yes, I still go through moments of the void, but luckily I'm grounding, I'm finding my roots, and I'm in a much, much better place. So I'm going to go ahead and move along with that one, because that one's really self-explanatory. You know, you're doing a lot of meditation and grounding work. You know exactly what's in store. And please, please, if you have any questions about any of this stuff that I'm going over, throw it in the comments. Or if you are somebody who has gone through all of this and you're far wiser than me, please let us know. Help anybody out that's going to sit here and watch these, because I'm pretty goofy and I don't really know what I'm doing. So the last one is your purpose. I'm so excited to know my purpose. Like, I have ideas of my purpose. I know that I am sent here to guide people, but to really start being my purpose is something that I'm really excited about doing. During that time, you are grounded and you're powerful. You are living your purpose. You're walking your path. You learn, in a sense, why you are on this earth and what your mission is. Obviously, you don't know your full mission's purpose, or your purpose, whichever way you want to say it, until you die, but that's okay. This is when you're committed. You know, and this one lasts the rest of your life. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You know, these stages, if you know what stage you're going through, you're going to understand your why. You're going to, you know, and that's something that's extremely powerful, you know, is understanding your why. And these are things that you learn. You know, if you haven't figured out your why, I highly recommend you to meditate a lot and find your why and figure out where you're supposed to be going and why you're doing this. So that's basically it. I'm planning on doing a video soon, hopefully really soon, in the next day, because a lot of people have been asking me, well, how do I wake up? And I know it seems redundant that I'm doing a video on the stages of waking up versus doing how to wake up and then stages, but that's okay. We'll definitely cover those bases and we'll go over that. But I've really enjoyed chit-chatting with you guys. Peace, love, acceptance. Those are my 3 pillars, and I think that's going to be my sign out, I guess, for whatever it is. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please definitely leave me a like. Let me know in the comments if this is helpful for you, or if there's other content that you guys would like to see. The dog's apparently hungry, so be blessed. Have a wonderful day, guys.